A new movie is out today from Oscar-winning director Steve McQueen. Set during the Second World War, it follows a young boy's journey as he navigates through war-torn Britain and his mother's search for her missing son. For more, let's turn to senior entertainment reporter Eli Glasner. Thanks for being with us.
Pleasure.
So what did you make of Blitz and how this film came to be?
It was a photograph. So Steve McQueen saw a photograph of children who were being evacuated during the Second World War from London. So it's the Blitz every night, bombs raining down, it is hell, and they want to protect the children. So they put them on trains, over 1 million, and sent them to the countryside. And McQueen saw this photo of a young black boy with other evacuees, and instantly, as a director, he wanted to tell that story. He wanted to protect that boy. He knew he was in danger, and so that really inspired this movie about war from a child's point of view. Now, in the film, that child, there he is George. And so the young black boy, his mother, played by Saoirse Ronan, there she is. You might recognize her from Brooklyn and Lady Bird, and then she's playing Rita. Now, these two actors didn't know each other, but on screen, there's this wonderful tenderness. The kid that's playing George is Elliot Heffernan. Never acted in a movie before, Chris. He is fantastic. He was discovered at a casting call, and I think the reason they work as a family unit, Saoirse remembered what it was like to be a child actor, so she was actually quite protective of Elliot, and I think you see that tenderness in them on screen. So there's their home. That's kind of the cocoon, but of course when Elliot goes outside, things can be cruel, people make fun of him, they're bullying him, but he has a grandfather played by Paul Weller, great musician, who's actually great in this film. Here he is giving George some things to do.
Look after yourself, my boy, and don't forget, be brave and stand up to bullies. What do we always say about them?
All mouth and no trousers.
Pardon? I didn't hear what you said. Speak up, please.
All mouth and no trousers.
Correct. Come here.
All mouth and no trousers. It might be the most British thing I've ever seen. So they put George on the train. He's supposed to go off to safety, but George is such a stubborn kid. He jumps off the train. He wants to go back to London to be with his mom. Meanwhile, Rita is in the factory making missiles or bombs, and here they are breaking the news.
Your son did not arrive at his destination.
You're responsible for his safety. Why can't you tell me? Where's my boy?
This is for all the parents whose children have been evacuated, and for my boy, George.
You're starting to get a sense of the chaos and the carnage. At the same time, this movie kind of cleaves in half. On the one hand, you have Rita, who's left her job, who is going into the bomb shelters, who's going into the streets. Where is my boy? Meanwhile, George has jumped on a train going back to London, into danger, found some mates, thinks they're having a great time. They climb up on the roof. Let's take a look.
Climb up on their boxes!
It's worth pointing out, this is from the director of 12 Years a Slave. This is from the director of Hunger. When I describe his films, usually I say things like searing and visceral. I describe that as Spielbergian, like that is buoyant. And so this is a different kind of tone from him as a director, but because it's Queen, don't settle in because nothing really lasts.
Okay, so a different kind of tone, and this is also The Blitz, a moment in history that is well documented, a lot of people will know, but what did you think of his perspective on it?
I was at the Lightbox a few nights ago where McQueen had a Q&A and was talking to us, the audience, and talked about how there is the version of the Blitz that we have seen in movies, that we've studied in history, and he would contend that there is the history that has been told, but there are parts that have been left out. And that is very much something that he's interested in showing us. For example, when Rita is going into the bomb shelters, what we find there is racism, is classism, there's a socialist uprising. People are upset about how they're being treated. They want the tube system to open so they can just survive. Meanwhile, George on his own is finding his way into London, which is this nexus for all these different cultural communities. This is where he meets Efe, who is a Nigerian immigrant. He's one of the air raid wardens. He goes out at night to make sure the lights are off, and they are underground during a bombing in the shelter where some of those racial and class divisions become a little much for some of the British citizens, and here's what happens.
This gentleman has put up this sheet to contain us, to put us in a prison within a prison. I have no interest in looking at him, but I do not want to be concealed.
Sir, there is no segregation here.
That is Benjamin Clementine. He is a musician and an actor from Edmonton, Canada.
Okay.
At the same time, George, I mean, you think as a young black boy, that would be one of the first people he would see as a black officer in a position of power. And so this is what I think McQueen is doing in kind of correcting the record and showing us what was happening in London at that time, which is a different kind of view. Now, you might think, well, that sounds a little preachy or didactic, but because it's McQueen, it is vital, and it is potent, and it is raucous. There are these amazing scenes in some of the nightclubs, some of the jazz clubs, but the thing that pulls it all together, there is a boy, there is a mother, they are apart, they are trying to get back together, and that is what makes this, for me, well, let's take a look at my rating, and I'll give you my final summation.
Dun-dun-dun.
4 stars out of 5. I think it's a really interesting change from McQueen, but still fits into his oeuvre and a fantastic film.
Yeah, sounds like a powerful movie. All right, Eli Glasner, our senior entertainment reporter, thank you so much.
My pleasure.